ॐ अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। ॐ नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। नीलातुङ्गस्तनगिरितटे सुप्तमुद्बोध्य कृष्णं पारार्थ्यं स्वं श्रुतिशतशिरःसिद्धमध्यापयन्ती स्वोच्छिष्टायां सृजनिगलितं यावलात्कृत्य भुङ्क्ते गोदा तस्यै नमः इदमिदं भूय एवास्तु भूयः. So today we will discuss the 16th Pasuram. நாயகனாய் நின்ற நந்தகோபனுடைய கோயில் காப்பானே, கொடித்தோன்றும் தோரணவாசல் காப்பானே, மணிக்கதவம் தாழ்த்திறவாய் ஆயர் சிவமேரோமுக்கு அரைபரே மாயன் மணிவண்ணன் நென்னலேவாய் நேர்ந்தான் தூயோமாய் வந்தோம் துயிலடப் பாடுவான் வாயால் முன்னம் முன்னம் மாற்றாதே அம்மா நீ நேய நிலைக்கதவம் நீக்கேலோர் எம்பாவாய். So this is the Pasuram.
நாயகனாய் நின்ற நந்தகோபனுடைய நாயகனாய் நின்ற நந்தகோபனுடைய கோயில் காப்பானே கொடி கொண்டும் தோரணமே வாயில் காப்பானே மணிக்கணவும் தாழ்த்திரவாய் ஆயன் திருமியாரோ முக்குரை மாயன் மணி வண்ணன் நெந்தலைவாய் நேர்ந்தான் தூயோமாய் வந்தோ துயிலழ பாடுவான் வாயால் முன்னும் மாற்றாதே அம்மா நீனேய நிலை கதவம் நீ கேளோரெம்பாவாய். ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம்.
ஆண்டாள் திருவடிகளே சரணம். So today we are discussing the 16th Pasuram. This is a very important Pasuram. So far Andal has visited the homes of different Gopikas, and finally she has arrived at the home of Krishna himself. Right today, so she, along with all the Gopikas, she is trying to enter the house of Krishna. So the first set of Pasurams 1 to 5, they talk about what this entire Vratam is all about. What are the rules to be observed by following this Vratam? What is the fruit of this Vratam? Those are the things that the first 5 Pasurams talk about. Pasuram 6 through 15 talk about one important principle of approaching a Perumal through Bhagavatas. Right, so Andal tries to approach different Bhagavatas, and then she gathers all those Bhagavatas, and along with the Bhagavatas, she tries to approach Perumal. Now, even in approaching Perumal, how one has to approach Perumal, that is what is being talked about in the subsequent. How to approach Perumal and how to experience Perumal is something that is taught in the next set of verses 16 through 28. So, in today's Pasuram, we will first try to understand the external meaning of this Pasuram before we enter into the inner meaning of this Pasuram. So, externally, nayaganay ninra nandagopanudaya koil kappane. So, the mood of this Pasuram is that Andal is first of all petitioning to the gods in front of the, let's say there is some sort of a colony or something, right? Within that colony, there are certain homes, and one of those homes belongs to Krishna. So, there is that external surrounding. So there are guards there. So first she's petitioning to one of those guards there, right, to enter that inner sanctum, and then within that she's going to again petition to a specific guard who is guarding that home of Krishna, right? So and then she's going to talk about why they have come there, right? Naturally, this proceeds as a conversation between the guards and Andal and the set of Gopikas. So they want to make sure that they are sending the right candidate inside, because naturally, when there is a lot of crime rate in the neighborhood, you will notice that the security in that area increases, right? So similarly, the crime rate was apparently very high where Krishna was present. Every day there was one demon coming, and the demon was getting killed. So naturally, security was tightened. So guards wouldn't allow anybody or everybody into Krishna's house because they want to protect Krishna, right? So therefore, they had to go through the security clearance process. So today, Andal, she's trying to talk to that guards, and she's trying to understand how to approach Krishna, right? So let us go through this. So you're saying, nayaganay ninra Nandagopanudaya koil kappane. So kappane means you are the protector, right? Koil kappane means protector of this home of Krishna, right? Nandagopanudaya. So this coil belongs to Nandagopan, right? Nandagopanudaya coil kaapane nayaganaya ninra. Who is this Nandagopan? He is our leader, right? He is the leader of all the Gopas there. He was the ruler, right, of that particular region. So he's saying, O protector of the house of Nandagopa, who is the leader of all of us, right? That is the first line. Then Kodittonrum Toranavasal Kaapane. This is the next petition that she is making. Right? Kaapane, again, she is talking to a certain guard there. And Kodittonrum Toranavasal. So now there were several homes there, and Krishna's home had to be identified. Right? So Krishna had some inner intention of why his particular home had to be highlighted. But externally, he told his father, saying, "See, everybody should know that we are, the leaders here. So to indicate that we are the leaders, we should hoist a flag on the top of our house." He said that. But internally, all the gopikas would secretly come in the night and they wanted to meet Krishna. Now, in the night, how do they identify which is Krishna's house? So there has to be some flag, right, to indicate that this is my house. You come to this house. Therefore, Krishna wanted a flag on the top of his house. But externally, he was trying to tell his father, no, no, everybody should know that we are the leaders, so we should have a flag to distinguish ourselves. Right? This is the mode. So now, Kodittonrum Toranavasal Kappane. So this particular house had certain bounties in front of the house, and it also had a flag. Right? That was the distinction for this particular home. Manikkadavam Tal Thiruppavai. So now she's talking to that particular guard and she's saying, apparently this Manikkadavam, right, this particular doors of this home of Krishna, naturally we have seen in previous Pasurams too, right? Most of the doors of the Gopikas and so on that they were trying to wake up, they were made with gems, right? They were gem studded doors. So if their homes are only gem studded, we can only imagine how, he's the king of that particular place. So his home would also be gem studded, right? So it's Manikkadavam. The doors were made of gems. Tal Tirava, you please open the lock, unlock the door, right? That's what they were saying. Why should they unlock, right? I Simira for our sake, who are young girls who have come here, for our sake, you please open the door. In this way, she is petitioning to that particular guard. Arai parai mayan manivannan nennalevai nerundan. So here she is saying that now that God might question, why have you come? Right? To clarify, she is saying that Krishna, who is Mayan, who is Manivannan, previously, Nennale vai nerundan. So previously, he has already promised that he is going to give Arai parai. He is going to give this parai to us, which is an instrument that we want to use in this particular vratam. And that is something that makes a lot of sounds, right? So we have heard what this particular parai was. It's an instrument that is worn here. It makes certain kinds of sounds. So that is what they were externally asking. So they were saying Krishna promised to us previously that he's going to give this to us. So therefore, we have come here. He himself asked us to come, therefore we have come. In this way, they are saying. Then, he might suspect that this particular girl, how do we know? How do we trust? Anybody can come and say that, they are, how do you trust? They are saying, Tu yo mai. We are someone who have pure minds. Tu yo mai vandom. We came with pure minds. We don't have any ill motive behind why we came today. Right? It's not like we came with a bad motive. Tu ilala paduvan. All we want to do is we want to just sing about him, as he's trying to sleep. We want to just look at his beauty when he's sleeping and we want to sing, right? Not our motive is also not to wake him up or anything. We just want to sing. And whenever he wakes up and he's going to give us because he knows that he promised that he's going to give this to us. Then, Vayal munnam munnam maatrade amma. So apparently after all this petitioning, that particular guard, he was still not convinced that, he should let them in. So he was like, right away, he was, trying to reject them. So they are saying, right away, right at the beginning, don't object all of this. Please allow us, with your mouth, don't reject us outright. And they were just pleading to that particular guard there. Amma, in this way, they are trying to plead to him, saying, please somehow let us inside. And ni naya nilai kadavam ni kelor ambavai. Then they are saying that this door, right? Nilai kadavam, it is very firm, this particular door. So you please open this door. And we have come all the way here. We have come so close. Now you please open the door and let us inside. So this is the external meaning of the Pasuram. Now we will try to understand the inner meaning of this particular Pasuram. The Vedas, they say that, Acharya Deva Vidita Vidya Sadhishtam Prapat. That only that science which is obtained through the Acharya will bear a fruit. Right? Anything that we try to learn on our own account, Acharyavan Purusho Vedaha. It is what is told, right? Only one who has an Acharya, such a person knows the truth. In other words, the importance of an acharya is something that it is almost indispensable in the spiritual journey for an aspirant, right? Wherever we see the examples of even great devotees like Prahlada, he had Narada, right? Dhruva, he had Narada, right? Similarly, Vibhishana, when he approached Ramachandra, he approached through Sugriva and all the Bhagavatas there. Similarly, even if you look at Valmiki, right? When he begins Ramayana, he begins by approaching Narada as his acharya, right? Similarly, the Puranas, all the Puranas, Ashtadasa Puranas are literally sages beginning with Saunaka. They approach Suta Maharshi, right? It's questioning Suta Maharshi in Naimisharanya. So it is almost indispensable. We see that always, it is through an acharya that they are trying to approach Perumal. They are trying to learn about Perumal. That is the process. The same thing we see even in the conduct of our Purvacharyas, right? Yamanacharya, for instance, Stotra Ratna is all about glorifying Perumal. But he begins it with Acharya Stuti, he ends it with Acharya Stuti again. So along the lines of, our scriptures. So in this way, this Acharya Samashayanam, that is approaching an Acharya properly for the sake of Tasmat Sa Guru Mevapi Gachet, Samitpanihi Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam, says the Upanishad. That one should approach a Guru and with proper mood, one should surrender to such a Guru. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Tadvidhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshanti Te Jnanam Jnananas Tattvadarshana. This is very interesting. Krishna is right there, Arjuna is right there. He is saying you still go to an acharya, learn from him and come. Krishna can directly teach him. But the importance of an acharya, even within that 700 slokas, this is not one place. Even in 13th chapter, when he talks about jnanam, qualities of a person in knowledge, right? One of the things that he talks about is acharya upasana, right? 13th chapter he mentions amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shantirarjavam, right? There he says acharya upasana. That is one of the qualities he mentions of a person in knowledge. That one who knows the right way, acharya, he will take shelter of an acharya. Why? Because if you just think about it, jiva has become so dirty by being in contact with samsara for millions of births with so many improper samskaras, right? Jiva has literally lost the qualification of approaching Perumal directly. And if we do that, Perumal, he might just reject us outright. So we need the medium of a pure-hearted acharya who can actually somehow, take us to Perumal. And, Perumal may listen to the words of such an acharya, not, someone who is an ordinary samsari, right? So therefore, that particular importance is being talked about. Here, the process of, if you see, first these gopikas, it's not like they are saying, barging directly into the doors and saying, hey, just step aside, I'll just go inside and so on. They're humbly petitioning, right? This is the process that we do too, right? Wherever, if you go to a temple, what do we do? First, the process is to worship the Kshetrapala of that particular region, right? If we go to Tirumala, for instance, it is always told that we have to first go to Sri Varahaswami's temple. He is the Kshetrapala of that region before worshipping, Srinivasa on the top of the hill, right? So we go to Kshetrapala, we go to Dwarapalas, then we go to Alvar Acharya Sannidhis, we petition there, then we go to the Dhvajastambam, then we, pray there, then we go to Tayar Sannidhi, we pray there, then finally we go to Perumal. This is the process, right? So this is what is being talked about here, the sequence in which they are trying to humbly approach, right? Move forward, humbly move forward. That is being talked about here, right? If we look at the slightly inner meaning of what they are trying to do here, right? Who is Nandagopa, right? Nandagopa means, what is Nanda? Nanda means Ananda, pleasure, bliss, right? So who is this Ananda? Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat, says the Upanishad, right? So Ananda means nothing but Paramatma. Ananda is nothing but Brahman. He is Ananda. Nanda Gopam means he is someone who protects this Ananda, right? So it is indicating the nature of mantra, An acharya who is protecting the mantra. Here in this particular pasuram, when they are trying to describe, the commentaries describe that coil is that mantra. And Acharya Nandagopan, he is trying to, Krishna is inside that mantra, right? And Acharya is trying to protect that particular region. So that is who Anandagopan is. And what is the purpose of these Dwarapalas? There are also other Acharyas in that parampara. What are they trying to do? They are trying to protect Krishna. In other words, Krishna is someone whom everybody cannot approach, right? This mantra, so within that mantra, within that coil, Krishna lies, right? Within that mantra, Paramatma lies. Now, this Paramatma or that mantra is not something that anybody can have access to, right? There is a proper process. Even in Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? He says that idam te na atapaskaya, na abhaktaya kadachana, na cha asushrusave vachyam, na cha mamyo abhyasuyati. Right? This is what Krishna says. That there is a certain qualification, certain eligibility for even handing over mantra containing Paramatma. What is it? Idam te na atapaskaya. Those who do not have any interest in meditating on the meaning of that mantra, there is no point giving that mantra to such a person. Right? Then na abhaktaya. Those who do not have devotion to the deity who is being told in that mantra, what is the point of giving the mantra to them? No use. Right? Nacha asushrushrave vachyam. So this should not be given to a person who has no respect for the acharya who is giving that mantra, who is not in a mood of serving that acharya, right? Because only those who have a respect for the acharya, one should have faith in the acharya, one should have respect for the acharya, one should have service mood towards the acharya. Then that mantra will work for such a person. Otherwise, that mantra received through the acharya will not even work, right? Nacha mamyo abhyasuyati, and they shouldn't be outright envious of God. So clearly, anybody who is atheistic in nature, anybody who is avaidika in nature, right? These are all people who do not have eligibility for the mantra, right? So such people, the mantra should be protected from such people. Therefore, there are guards. Those guards are acharyas, right? They protect Krishna who is in the mantra. They don't give it out to anybody. They want to make sure that they check the qualifications of people. These bare minimum criteria should be satisfied. They should have some respect, service attitude towards Acharya, towards Perumal, some devotion to Perumal. They should not be outright envious towards Perumal. They should have some interest in meditating on the meaning of that. All our Purvacharyas have done that, right? They keep doing that. Manavada Mamigal constantly, he keeps, doing Anusandhanam of Dvayamantram, right? That's what we are told. So our Acharya and all our Kalakshepams are basically meditation on the meanings of the mantras, right? So this is the thing that our Purvacharyas constantly did, is meditating on the meanings of the mantras. So this is what someone should be in a mood of that, right? Understanding that mantra, and one should be Nandagopan oneself, that one should have that respect towards that mantra, that this is something very precious I have received, right? And one should hold that high regard towards that mantra, Acharya, and the deity which is told in that mantra. So this is what is being indicated in this first set of lines. Next, Kodittonrum Toranavasal Kappane. Now, what are they trying to do here? They are trying to, speak to that particular Dwarapalaka here, saying, so first, apparently, the first, Kshetrapalaka has let them in. There is a discussion that happened. They said, we want to meet Krishna. Then that person let them in. But now there is a deeper discussion happening with that particular guard of that particular house, right? So now, here, what are we being told? That, why exactly that home has a flag on it, right? If we look at the inner meaning of this particular thing, we are told that Krishna wanted to distinguish his home from every other home, right? In other words, the nature of this flag is that it is the thing that distinguishes Krishna's home from everything else. So we are told that this flag represents the akara in the Ashtakshari mantra, something that tells uniquely what his position is. That A means avarakshane, that he is someone who is the protector of all, and A means he is the basis of everything, right? This is something that uniquely, it's a unique distinguishing characteristic of Perumal, that someone who protects everybody, right? Including all the devatas. Someone who is the basis of everything. That is what akara is. So the akara in the mantra is the thing that tells us Perumal's unique position. So that is the flag that is being told here. And there are also few more things that are told, that the Veda says, Dhanma Niva Prapa Asi. That means he is like a rest area, we can say. I don't know how to translate it. So that it's, in India we have these cool shelters where they, they have water stations, okay, where people, they walk around, and that is a place of refuge where they come and they can rest for some time and they can drink water and go. So here the closest thing is rest area in US, right, where we take a shelter, we drink some water, we fill our bottles, and we go, right. So Perumal is like that to someone who is going through the tapam of samsaram, right? The heat of samsara is such that it will completely drain us away. Then the place where we can take such shelter is Perumal, right? So that is what Veda says. And another statement also, Esha Brahma Pravishtosmi Grishme Shitamiva Hradam. That, Perumal is someone who, in the hot summers, he is like that cool shelter that one would want to take shelter of, right? That is how the mantra says. So this is what indicates, Perumal's unique position, right? The flag indicates that. Another thing we are told is, what is this flag? Flag means, from a temple point of view, it is the Dhvajastambha, right? What does the Dhvajastambha indicate? Dhvajastambha means there is Garuda in it. Who is Garuda? Garuda is Vedas personified. Chandomayena Garudena. In this way, different places we are told, right? Vedatma Vihageshwaraha, right? So he is Vedas personified. So only after praying at the Dvajastambham we go to Perumal. In other words, only through the Vedas he is to be approached, right? Vedaireva aham vedya. That is one interpretation of Vedaischa sarve rahameva vedya. There are different interpretations of that sentence, that statement, but he is someone who is known through Vedas as the Pramanam, right? Using Pratyaksha and Anumana, we cannot, know about Paramatma's Tattva. The only way to understand Paramatma is Vedam. Vedam is the Pramanam. So Veda Pramanyam is being told by saying that we have to pray at Dhvajastambha before, going to Perumal. So these are all some of the meanings that are taught here in this particular line. And then from a Ashtanga Yoga point of view also, we are told certain meanings. So the previous 10 pasurams, apparently they are indicating the conquest of the 10 senses, the 5 jnanendriyas and the 5 karmendriyas. Why? Because satsanga is being indicated there. The way to conquer senses, the simplest way to conquer senses is satsanga. If we maintain satsanga, then the dussanga will automatically come down in our life, right? So therefore, that is how one can conquer the senses. Then after that, one has to perform pranayama, right? And then stabilize the prana, apana, vayus present in us. So that is the taking shelter of the kshetrapala is indicating that balancing of prana, vayu and apana, vayu. And then after that, the mind will be stabilized. So the taking shelter of the dwarapala is indicating that stabilization of the mind. And then the whatever tattva acharya teaches, that will actually remain in the mind once that mind attains that level of purity, right? So this is the yogic meaning that is also provided for these phases. Manikkadavam tal thiravai. Now they are saying that first, the Dwarapalaka, now they are petitioning to them that you please open this gem-studded door. That is what they are saying. What is the gem-studded door? The inner meaning of this is, this door is something that is very shiny in nature. So door means obviously there are two doors, right? We are assuming there are two doors, right? Now they are asking him to open that door so that they can be let in. What is this that they are talking about here? One thing that happens after the mind is stabilized and after we start meditating, before Paramatma Sakshatkaram happens, is Atma Sakshatkaram, right? The nature of Atma Sakshatkaram is also described in the 6th chapter. What is it? Sukham Atyantikam Yattad Buddhigrahyam Atindriyam, right? So we are being told that Atma is also something that gives us an extreme amount of happiness. Krishna says it is not something that is even graspable by our indriyas, right? It is beyond the pleasure of the senses. Sukham Atyantikam, a very high degree of happiness, Atma also gives. So there is a very high chance that somebody might end right there, thinking that, I have realized something extraordinary, so my goal has been reached. In this way, someone might stop right there, right? And that will create another bhavana along with it, which is swatantriya bhavam, thinking that this Atma is such a powerful thing, which is what I am, I'm independent. There is nothing else that is actually behind me. In this way, one can fall into the trap, thinking that that is the final goal of yoga, right? Now, an acharya is someone who has to open these doors. So, Atma Sakshatkaram is the thing that is being indicated by this gem-studded door, right? The gem-studded door is indicating that it's shining in nature, right? It's shining. The gems are shining. So, Atma Sakshatkaram is also shining in nature because our own nature is illuminated to us when the mind becomes clear, right? So, at that point, we will think that this is the goal of yoga and we might stop there. So, we have to petition. Only an acharya can remove this and he can let us inside. He has to open the doors of Atma Sakshatkaram and the Swatantriya Bhavam associated with it and say that there is Perumal. Once we realize Perumal, compared to that Perumal, Atma Sakshat, compared to an ocean, it is like a drop of water. Right? Once we realize that there's something more that is far more surpassing than what I have just realized, then there is no way one will fall into this. Right? Then one will understand that that is the thing which is actually controlling this tiny little Atma. Then the relationship between Perumal and Atma will be established. Right? Then one will not fall into this trap. So that is the ultimate goal. So they have to let us into that Perumal's tattva. Right? So this is what they were trying to discuss here. Right? Now there is a very interesting discussion that is described between these two people. Why did the Dwarapala refuse? Right? From an external point of view. Now we discuss the inner meaning first. Now we'll get into the external. They are discussing with the Dwarapala. Dwarapala is afraid because in the Rama Avataram, Dasaratha himself was very powerful. Right? He destroyed so many enemies. And Rama and Lakshmana, they were also quite valorous. Right? Citizens of Ayodhya also, they were, very well educated. Right? They were well educated enough that constantly they used to pray to devatas and so on to protect Rama all the time. Right? It is described that, Ramasyarthe sarvan devan namasyanti. So constantly for the sake of Rama, they constantly used to pray to all the devatas that Rama should be protected in this way. So the scope for protection and Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga was something that is closer to Satya Yuga. So the possibility of even attacks happening was low. Even if something happened, the amount of power that people displayed to protect Rama was also high, and he was under the guidance of such esteemed acharyas like Vasishta and so on. Right, there was Ashtadiggajas in the courtyard of Dasaratha who were all very powerful acharyas. So that setting was different. Thinking about Krishna, he appeared in Dwapar Yuga, which is much closer to Kali Yuga, and then Nandagopa himself is a very sattvic soul. Even an ant he is not willing to hurt, right? Such a very sattvic soul. So he doesn't display a lot of power. And that too, Ayodhya, that place is Ayodhya. Ayodhya means something that cannot be conquered. That name itself means something that cannot be conquered. Right? But this, Gokula was something right outside the, outskirts of, Kamsa's place, right? And constantly Kamsa was sending one enemy after another. So situation was much more difficult right now. So it's not like without checking the ID card, without doing proper screening and all that, they cannot let in anybody and everybody inside. So therefore they were a little cautious. So now they were saying that, that's why I'm afraid. I don't want to let anybody inside. Now the Gopika are saying, what are you talking about, right? This person is, someone, yad bibheti swayam bhayam, right? The nature of Krishna is that bhayam personified will be afraid of him. So that is who Krishna is. So how can you say that you are afraid that somebody will attack him? No, so nothing like that will happen. So just let us in. Then he said, they also apparently, they said that we are just women after all. What will we do in this way? They said. Then he said, no, Surpanaka was also a woman. She also came. Everything started with her. She was the first person who came. And, before that, Tataka, she was also a woman. So these are also women. They only created problems. So therefore, no, nothing like that. Then they said, okay, those are all Rakshasa women. We are Gopa women after all, right? So then, how can we possibly cause any such thing to happen? Then he replied, no, even this Putana, she came in the form of a Gopa woman. So what is the guarantee? You also might be in the disguise of a Gopa woman. Then they said, we are just small kids. No, if she is an adult, so therefore there is time for her to learn this black magic and magical arts and so on. Therefore, she did all that. Kids, what will you expect from kids? This is what they said. Then he said, Vatsasavara was also a calf. Right? It was a calf demon. Right? So just because someone is young doesn't mean they won't attack Krishna. So you also might be like that. Who knows? In this way, he is trying to say. Then they said, we are so many of us. How can these many people come at once? In this way, they were saying. And he said, Karadushana also, they all came with 14,000 people all at once. This way, discussion was going back and forth, saying, no, no, I'm not going to let you in. And they were saying, no, no, please let us in. Right? So, in this way, some discussion was happening here. Now they were trying to give the reason out. Now they were saying, okay, all this set aside, tell me what is your reason? Why have you come? Okay, that he was apparently asking. Now, they are trying to answer. Arai parai mind manivandan nenalevai nerundan. So what they are saying is Krishna himself promised that he'll give us this parai. So therefore we came for that. Now after he wakes up, we won't go and disturb him. Whenever he wakes up, we will take. Then he said, okay, all right, you stay here. I'll go. Whenever he wakes up, I'll collect it from him and I'll come out and give. You just stay here. In this way, he said. Then they said, because he was still doubting that these girls are lying. Then they said, no, no, we are speaking the truth. And when we say he spoke like that, Ramo Dvirnabhibhashate, he also doesn't have two words. If he gives a word, he will keep it. So therefore, we have come with that faith, right? And Krishna, even in Krishna Avataram, he said, Name mogham vacho bhavet, that my words will never go in vain. Krishna also promised. So in this way, Rama's words will be truthful. So his intent is true. Therefore, placing that faith in him, we have come all the way here. So you please let us in. Then he asked, right? Now you please tell what is your inner motive. Why have you come here? Then they are saying, Tu yo mai vandom. Our minds are pure. We don't have any ill intent in coming here, right? That means, what does this pure intent mean? It means there is no ulterior motive for us. We have approached Perumal not so that we can get something for him. We just came here to experience Perumal. He is what we want. We just don't want anything else beyond him, right? The reason we are praying to Perumal is not to get something from him. We are praying to him because we just want him. We just want to enjoy him. We just want to experience him. We just want to experience his beauty, right? This is how great devotees have approached Perumal, right? For example, if you look at Sita Devi, what did she say? When Rama said, look at all the comforts that are there, she said, no, no, yastvaya saha sasvargaha nirayo yastvaya vino. Whatever is with you, that is only swarga for me. That is only happiness for me. I don't want all those palatial things. Same thing with Lakshmana. He said, Lakshmana, you please take care of mother, you please take care of father. He said, no, no, nothing doing. I'm just going to catch your feet. I'm going to come where? Sarvam karishyami jagrataha swapataschate. You are everything for me. I'm there to do everything for you. That's why I'll come here. Hanuman said the same thing. Bharata said the same thing. If you look at Vibhishana, he also said the same thing. He said, you are my kingdom, you are my wealth, you are my friends, you are my life, you are my everything. He gave up his own kingdom, his own friends, his own life, his own wife, everything he gave up. He said, you are everything for me, and he also came. In this way, all the great devotees, they have come to just want Krishna, nothing else from Krishna. They don't have another, prayojana antara apeksha from that they want something else from Krishna. They just want Krishna. That is how we have come. This is our purity. Purity of the mind means not coming with an agenda that once God answers my call, I have a huge list that I want to read to Perumal. I'm just waiting for him to answer my call. Right? It's not like that. We just want him. We are happy to just see him, see how great he is. That's all. So this is what they are apparently telling him, right? And then he is saying this is mutually contradictory to me, because on the one hand you are saying you want Perumal, on the other hand you are saying he has something, he'll give that to you, and you want to collect that. So it doesn't seem to go well. These two don't seem to go well. They are saying, hey, that's just a pretext for us to meet him. We just want to come and Tuyomai Vandam, Tuyara Paduvan. Without waking him up, we just want to experience his beauty. We have not even come to disturb him. This is what great devotees have done, like Vishwamitra and all. What did they do? Right? Vishwamitra, when he was seeing Rama lying down after bringing Ramachandra, he was lying down. Vishwamitra wanted to wake him up, saying, it's time for Sandhya Vandanam, you have to wake up, get ready. But he couldn't wake him up. He was just... Kausalya, Supraja, Rama, Purva Sandhya Pravartite, right? He wanted to say Purva Sandhya, Rama, Purva Sandhya Pravartite. He wanted to say, Rama, it's time, wake up, do your Sandhya Vandanam. But he was like, first of all, he was thinking, how beautiful this person is, right? Generally, when someone sleeps, we don't feel like seeing that person, right? People are at their worst when they're sleeping. The only person who is beautiful when he is sleeping is Perumal, right? So he's extremely beautiful when he's sleeping. So someone who sees him when he's sleeping, they are so mesmerized with his beauty that Vishwamitra himself, he was like immediately was saying, what a beautiful glory Kausalya had. That Kausalya is the person who has begotten this beauty and given to us. So Kausalya Supraja, he said, Ramachandra, and he was not able to say Purva Sandhya Pravartate immediately. He was just mesmerized seeing Ramachandra's beauty. In this way, we want to just come and we want to look at him, and just so that there is no drishti dosham to him, we will sing Mangala Sasnam for him. So, Paduvan, we want to sing some Mangala Sasnam to him so that no drishti dosham falls on him. This is why we have come. In this way, they are petitioning. And then, now they were also trying to describe, why they have all come, right? They have all come so that it is just like, all the sages, they have approached Ramachandra himself, right? So that, Rama doesn't have to come all the way to them. They themselves came. Although Rama himself felt it was a shame for him that he didn't go closer to them, they themselves came to Ramachandra, right? They themselves were trying to seek protection from Ramachandra, but they were also in the mood of doing Mangala Shasnam to Ramachandra. In this way, they were saying, yes, we want some protection from him, but then we are also in the mood of protecting him, right? Although this might seem mutually contradictory, this is the nature of all Bhagavatas, right? We see, Yashoda, not Yashoda, Devaki, when Krishna appeared, she was saying, hide your hands, because, Kamsa will know that you are Narayana himself, he'll kill you, right? He is showing that I am Narayana myself, nobody can kill me. But the mood of, Devaki was that she was asking Krishna to hide his hands and hide himself so that Kamsa will not do anything. Although Krishna's Maya will be such that although they realize how great he is, immediately they'll forget how great he is and they want to protect him. Right? Nothing can happen to him. But the mood of a devotee is that they are always in the mood of protecting the Lord. Right? Vayal munna munna matradeyamma. Now, they are saying that you are our only recourse, right? Only if you let in, we will actually go inside. So, right in the beginning, don't reject us. Outright, don't reject us. You are our only recourse, right? This is how Sita Devi told Hanuman, you are my only recourse, right? Because if it is not for Acharya, Krishna said, Kshipami ajastram ashubhan, right? Ashri Sheva Yonishu, right? That he became so angry by the 16th chapter that he said, I'm going to throw these jivas in hell, let them suffer, let them go on displaying this asuri pravritti. If they don't want to change, let them not change. I'm going to throw them in hell. Eternally, they'll suffer there. So Perumal, he gets very angry with, he also gets frustrated seeing the nature of these jivas. Repeatedly, for their sake, he's taking birth after birth after birth, and he's taking birth in all kinds of species without making any distinction. He's, even as Antaryami, he's coming within every jiva's heart, right? No matter which species they take birth in. That is how compassionate Perumal is. But if the jivas are just not responding and they're so indifferent to him, then Perumal also gets frustrated. So now what is the hope for jivas if Acharya also rejects them? So therefore they are saying, please don't reject outright. Only if you sanction entry, then there is possibility that Perumal's Kataksha might fall. So somehow please, grant us that entry. Right? The one more thing is quoted by Purvacharya, so the commentary here, right? Why did Ramachandra accept Sita Devi? Right? Because it is told, Priya to Sita Ramasya Dara Pitrukruta iti. Because his father has acknowledged that this lady can be accepted as wife, therefore she became dear to Ramachandra. Right? So when will we become dear to Perumal? When an Acharya says, okay, this Jiva you can accept, then Perumal will accept us. Only on the words of the Acharya. Right? So in this way, there is so much, beauty that Andal is trying to teach us, experience herself and teach us in this. Then, Nine nilaikadavam nikelor embavai. Now they are saying that, very interesting, they said that nilaikadavam, the door is also very firm, they are saying. What is the firmness of the door that they are talking about here? They are saying that even, when Ramachandra was departing from the forest there, right? He was departing to the forest, then all the trees and the rivers and everything in nature started responding to Ramachandra, right? We may think that they are apparently not so conscious substances, right? Rivers and, mountains and all these things, but everything started responding. They started getting heated up and the rivers started getting heated up and, the trees were shedding leaves and all of that. So they were all expressing that separation from Perumal, right? So apparently these doors, these gopikas, they wanted to be respectful. They didn't want to, take the unlock themselves and all of that. They were thinking that if Krishna is lying inside, then some Bhagavata, like Kulshekar Alvar, he said that he is fine even being, that entrance step, right? Even within that entrance step, so that great Bhagavatas can step over him and go inside. In this way, very great Alvars and Acharyas might appear like that, even within the doors of Perumal. And they are apparently very firm because they are also trying to do their best to protect Perumal. If you see, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, right? There we see that every person tries to do their best to prevent, Voldemort's entry into Hogwarts, right? In this way, even the doors there, they were trying to, do their best to prevent anybody from entering. Even if the guards fail, the doors don't want to fail that entry into it. So in this way, they were also firm apparently, because some Acharya or Bhagavata might be lying inside, or even if they're so-called insentient substances, they also had that feeling of protecting Perumal. So therefore, they were saying, we don't want to do this. In other words, you yourself do it. So in other words, Acharya Parampara is not something, we can force control, right? It is the way to control that parampara is by submission, by surrender, by humbly petitioning. That is the only way we can approach that parampara and penetrate. God's mercy can penetrate through that parampara, right? So this beautiful, and the other thing again that is being told is that Atmaswarupa Jnana is also, there's something we have discussed, right? These doors represent that Atmaswarupa Jnana. That is also, sometimes it might seem impenetrable. Impenetrable in the sense the jiva can get caught up right there thinking that this is on jiva's own effort. The jiva cannot overcome that. It is only by Acharya's mercy, when Acharya shows that, there is Perumal's Anandam, which is much higher than, this is Sityanmam, right? This is very tiny form of happiness. This is nothing comparable to, happiness you will experience with Perumal. And Acharya repeatedly teaches us that, that's when we can come out of that thing. So in this way, once we will, beautiful Pasuram. So once we will try to again summarize this. Nayaganay and Nandagopanude Koil Kappane, Kodittonrum Toranamasal Kappane. So basically, it is that mantra that is present with the Acharya, and not everybody will have access to the mantra. The Guru Parampara and the Arona Acharya and so on, they all try to be very protective of that mantra, and without seeing any qualification, they will not give it to anybody. So bare minimum qualification is to be displayed. So when they see such a qualification, they give it to such a person, right? So that Kshetrapalakas that are present there in Nandagopan, Koil and all of that is indicating that they are trying to protect Krishna, right? In that way. Now, the only way one can actually approach this is by humbly petitioning that I have a desire for moksha. I also want to approach Perumal. In this way, when we approach, then they will not try to question us and so on. That desire is what they are trying to look for. That sincerity is what they are trying to look for. So they actually allow access into that process for any jiva without showing any distinction, right? So the first Kshetrapala apparently did not have any discussion and so on. He did not do any qualification check and he just let them in, right? So initially, they will, the only thing they will see is make sure that we have that desire for moksha, they will let us in. Now, after that, to gain further and further jnanam, we have to, display our sincerity, our service attitude to acharyas, our seriousness in the process. Then an acharya will see and the acharya will bless us with more and more jnanam. He will bless us with more and more, kataksham to approach that Perumal. All of that is being displayed in further and further, description. And then we are told that Perumal's distinguishing characteristic using the presence of the flag in one of those homes, right? That he is the protector of all, he is the basis for everything. This is the one thing that distinguishes him from everything else, right? And then Manikadavam Tal Thiruppavai Ay Sivmero Mukku. So this is also something that is telling us that this Manikadavam is basically that Atma Sakshatkaram and then the associated Swatantriya Bhavam that we might experience. So these are the things that we have to pray to the Acharya for him to open those doors so that we can actually get inside. And then Arai Pare Mind Manivandan Nennalevai Niyandan. So this is trying to tell us how ultimately we are trying to approach that Perumal so that we can do Kainkaryam to him, right? And it is not for any ulterior purpose that we are trying to approach Perumal, right? We are only trying to approach Perumal so that we can even us experiencing happiness is also his kainkaryam, because he feels happy. That happiness is what we should enjoy. It's not like we enjoy happiness independently, right? So that mood is what these gopikas are trying to express, that we are there only to do Mangala Shasana. We just want him. We just want his happiness, right? All we want is just Kainkaryam to him. That is what they ask even towards the end of Thiruppavai, right? For, birth after birth, please don't separate us from your service, right? So in this way, Tuyomai Vandam Tuveda Paduvan. That is what they are expressing. That our pure intent is just not any ulterior motive. We don't want anything. All we want is just him and his happiness. That is why we have come here. Vayal munna munna maatradayamma. They are trying to tell that please do not reject us outright, because if you do not show kataksham, then there is no possibility for my redemption in any way. So please somehow grant me access to Perumal, right? This is just displaying how that Atma Sakshatkaram can be very impenetrable sometimes. So only by Acharya Kataksham, only by petitioning to Acharya, that even that layer can be broken open and we can actually enter into Perumal's Anubhavam. In this way, the Gopikas are trying to beautifully present this particular Pasuram. With this, we will try to conclude for today. I will see if anybody here wants to share anything.
Yes, Raman, Swami.
Jai Sri Manaran.
Swami, I have one question, Swami. This is not related to this particular postrum, but I've been having this question from a long time. But since you told, like, in the 16th chapter in Bhagavad Gita, God felt that, okay, I'll move all these humans to the hell for eternal time, right? So, what is the main point in creating these humans? Creating all the humans, creating all this world, and then seeing that, okay, God, all of us are going back to the God or praying to the God. What is the main intent in all this?
So, okay. When I'm assuming when you say humans, you are saying jivas in general.
Jivas. I not only humans, the whole world creation. Why is that created, and why is that the God is then seeing that, okay, all these are doing good deeds, all these are going close to Paramatma, and then and finally going to the Paramatma. Why is all this process created?
Right.
I was having this question from a long time, but since you talked about the particular topic in Bhagavad Gita, that God was having some frustration and felt, okay, these jivas are not getting it right. I'll move them back to hell. This is what I wanted to ask. Can you clarify for me, please?
Yes. I'll see how best I can try to clarify to the best of my understanding. So, when we say jivas are created, jivas are never created, because jivas, prakriti, jivas, and paramatma, these are eternal truths. They are always present, right? So, jiva is never created, right? These are three tattvas. When we say tattva, our Swamiji has given a beautiful meaning for tattva. English interpretation he gave is unique, fundamental, eternal entity. This is how Swamiji defined what a tattva is. So it is unique. So jiva is distinct from prakriti, prakriti is distinct from paramatma, and jiva is distinct from paramatma. All three are distinct entities. There is no, they are not same. Okay. So unique, and they are all eternal in nature. Eternal means there is no birth, there is no death. They always exist. Jivas always exist. So there is no point of creation of jivas. There is no point at which Perumal himself got created. There is no point at which Prakriti got created. They are just there all the time. Okay. Now, what exactly are we calling as creation? The union of jivas with Prakriti is what we are calling as creation. That means, based on the past karmas of the jivas are given certain bodies to experience the fruits of those karmas. If they have done good deeds, they'll be given better bodies, the bodies of devatas, bodies in higher lokas, and so on. And if they have done, somewhat mixed deeds, they get human birth, right? If their deeds are very bad, they get animal forms and so on. If their deeds are terrible, they will take birth in hellish planets. So in this way, depending upon the way, that is what we are calling as creation. right? When we say total dissolution, when a pralaya happens or something, again the separation process happens. The jivas, because the jivas have spent a significant amount of time in samsara, so there is a certain break time that is given. So Perumal, he tries to take all the jivas and place them inside him. And again, this entire Prakriti goes through a recycling process. We are just seeing, right, just since the beginning of Kali Yuga, how much changes have come about, right, after industrial revolution and so on. So we can only imagine how Prakriti will, what will happen to Prakriti by the end of Kali Yuga, right? So Perumal also, he does a total recycling process where again, Prakriti is created afresh and everything. Again, at the beginning of Treta Yuga and next Treta Yuga, again, he tries to assign bodies. Now, one thing that we are always told is that karma is beginningless. Now, naturally, the doubt that people will get is, what is the first mistake I made, or when did I first fall in samsara, or all these things, right? Karma, we are always told that karma is beginningless. Just like Jiva is beginningless, Perumal is beginningless, karma is also beginningless. At least for our purposes, we can understand that there could be a beginning for karma, but we just don't know what that beginning point is. Even if Krishna wants to describe it to us, it's a substantially huge number that number will not be comprehensible to us. So that attempts have not been made. Krishna always said anadi, right? Since when the combination of prakriti has been with jiva means he said anadi. He just said it's anadi. That means the beginning of it cannot be traced, or there is no beginning to it. Now, we can assume, so whatever that karma was, certain set of jivas, have chosen to be with prakriti. And in the process of being with prakriti, the nature of prakriti is that prakriti is always degrading in nature. So one has to make a conscious effort to uplift oneself. Otherwise, by default, prakriti's nature is that anybody who comes in contact with prakriti, it will degrade the person. So in that degradation process, the only way to upkeep oneself is one has to understand the purpose of one's existence. One has to understand where exactly one is in that universal configuration. And one has to figure out, how to get from there to what the purpose of the life is, right? Purpose of one's existence is. That is what dharma is. Dharma means whatever, if one has taken birth in Devaloka, there are certain dharmas for them. If one has taken birth in Manavaloka, there are certain dharmas for them. The purpose of dharmas is ultimately, I typically like to give the example of video games, right? In video games, there are certain rules. If you follow the rules, you will eventually go to the last level and you'll win the princess, or, you'll complete your points or whatever. That is how games are structured, right? So this is the thing. So if we don't follow the rules, what will happen? We'll be given 3 lives or 4 lives and so on. And after that, they'll say game over, right? So this Kshipami Ajastram Ashubhan, whatever Krishna is saying, is that those attempts are given for the jiva to elevate themselves. But within that, if they are trying to, create, bad activities and do bad things and so on, then naturally, just like, whenever a new community is formed, a new city is formed or so on, a prison is also constructed, right? Some jail is also constructed. The purpose of the jail is that if anybody transgresses dharma there, then they'll be sent to that jail. Doesn't mean that the jail has to be filled all the time, right? It's just part of that city's construction plan, right? That there is a certain set of rules that govern the city, and if someone transgresses those rules, there should be a governing authority, and that governing authority should have the ability to, check these people from getting too aggressive. So the purpose of giving hellish, putting someone in hell is, it is not, Paramatma's intent is not to punish them. Paramatma's intent is to redeem them. He tries to, in fact, he gives chance after chance after chance. If we look at just Ramayana, for instance, Ravana was given so many chances till the last moment. Even on the last but one day, right, Ravana was told, his bow was broken, his chariot was broken, everything was destroyed. Rama said, okay, go back, come back tomorrow. He could have killed him right there, but he gave another chance. So Rama was repeatedly giving chances to Ravana because for Perumal it's not difficult. By being in Vaikuntha, he can do a sankalpa that may Ravana be destroyed and he may get a heart attack. Done. Right? But that didn't happen. He took a birth. He had to take so much effort to travel all the way till Lanka and, wage this huge war, apparently go through a lot of suffering. Why did he do all of this? Just to give Ravana a chance. He's trying to demonstrate to all of us that Perumal's nature is not one of punishing. Perumal's nature is one of forgiving. He wants to give chance. He wants to give chance to see if we are going to redeem ourselves. But even after giving so many chances, if we don't redeem ourselves, then he has to figure out what plan B is. Plan B is he will restrict the level of independence that we have. In a human body, if we are committing too much, transgression, then he'll restrict us into the form of a tree or the form of an animal, where that freedom is limited. Now, if you look at a tree, there is a jiva in the tree too, right? Because the tree is growing, the tree is flowering, the tree is giving fruits. So there is a jiva who is caught up in that tree. But we have the ability to run for shelter if it's too cold or too hot, but a tree cannot run anywhere. It just has to remain there. So that is a sort of punishment. When one goes through those kinds of experiences, then that level of aggression will come down. So, as part of Paramatma's plan, why does he have to throw someone in hell? The context in which he says that in the 16th chapter is he talks about Daivi Sampat, and then he talks about Asuri Sampat. And then he says, what are the gates to hell? Repeatedly, if someone keeps on acting in this way, then they are actually paving themselves a path to hell. Then he says, why do I throw people to hell? If these are the qualities that the chance is there, the opportunity is there to cultivate good qualities and to cultivate bad qualities. But if someone is repeatedly choosing bad qualities, someone is repeatedly going in the wrong direction, then I have a means to check them. Then I have a means to throw them, to control their behavior, to regulate their behavior. Just like when a child is misbehaving, we first try to say you cannot go outside, you have to stay inside the house. Inside the house, if the child starts throwing tantrums and throwing things and so on, we tie the child we lock the child in a certain room. Within the room, if the child is again breaking tube lights and breaking the fan and everything, we tie them to a chair. What are we trying to do in the process? We are trying to bring about regulation in the behavior of the child. So we are trying to restrict their behavior further and further. When they say sorry, I will not do this, then we will first release them from the chair. If they say I won't, if they behave well within that room, we'll let them into the house. If they behave well in the house, we'll give them freedom to go outside and play. So this is the process in which Paramatma handles this universe.
Oh, got it, Swami. But my understanding is the first creation in this world is the first out. Narayana was first present, and then he created the Brahma, and then Brahma created all the humans, right? All the jivas. But that was my initial question. Why to create jivas? Why to create jivas? Why to test them out? Or then why to see that, okay, they are going the right direction?
These jivas already have desires. The nature of jiva tattva is that by tattva, jiva has a desire to experience happiness. Because
Okay.
jiva's innate nature is one of unlimited happiness.
Okay.
So jiva has a goal of attaining happiness that exists. But without a body, they cannot experience that happiness. They need some body, either a spiritual body or a material body, to experience that happiness. Which kind of body they get depends upon what their karma is, right? If the jiva's karma is material, depending upon that level of material karma that they have, they'll be given a suitable body to experience those karmas. They will also be given these opportunities to. Now, when we say Narayana first existed, he created Brahma, Brahma created jivas and so on. This is an eternal process. Just like after winter, again summer will come. After summer, fall will come. After fall, again winter will come. So in this way, this is a cyclical process. That after a pralaya, again the creation cycle happens. When that creation cycle happens, then among all the jivas that are present, there is a certain jiva who has attained the eligibility of being a Brahma. That jiva is given the form of Brahma and he is given the position of Brahma. There is a certain jiva who has attained the position of being Lord Shiva. So he is given the form of Lord Shiva and he is given the service of Shiva, which he has to do. A certain jiva has attained the eligibility of being Indra. He is given the form of Indra and he is given the duty of Indra and he is given that post. In this way, he awards those posts. And we are also awarded different posts based on our own eligibility and our own karmas.
Got it. Thank you, Swami. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, so much.
Yes. Parthan Swami would like to add one more.
So the whole idea from Perumal's perspective, what's the goal of this whole sport is, probably you might have said it another time, is to get Jivatmas to choose him over all others.
Yes.
That are attractive. So that's the whole point. So he's just a sport. He's playing. If you don't choose him immediately, you get timeouts. You come back, you're given another chance to come back and eventually choose him. You were given scriptures and
Love it.
acharyas to explain them. And so essentially the idea of creating the universe, to give jivas bodies, is to perform the dharma, to read the scriptures, go to an acharya, and all that, to know enough to choose Perumal over other things that he might want to choose. So
Yes.
that's just a sport he plays.
One Upanyasam, I heard Swami that Perumal is like a child.
Mm.
So he creates the world,
Mm.
and the child thinks, okay, whatever I created, I'm done with it. I'm going to destroy it.
Mm.
So that is pralayam. So there is some slokam or somewhere mantra or something that says that he creates like a child would create with a set of Legos, and he likes it and he admires it. That's it, and he takes it down. That is pralayam. So he makes it, he destroys it. He makes it, he destroys it. So it's like a child's play. To think of Perumal as a child, and that's how he creates and destroys the world. And whenever it's created, the jivas, as you said, gets associated with prakriti and karma. All these things happen, and after some time, he decides that he's done. He will.
Yes, Eddie.
Yeah.
Harini,
Thank you.
I think adding another point about Nitya Vibhuti and Leela Vibhuti too, right? So this is another point too. So this is all everything that we are discussing so far is the thing with Leela Vibhuti, right? This place, material existence. But there is an eternal spiritual world where, all those jivas have chosen him. They have chosen to be with him. Right, and eternally they have been with him, and they have always spent time with him. And some of us have chosen, if at all we ascribe such a beginning point. Sometimes Swamiji has given this explanation, right? When someone asks what is the beginning of karma, Swamiji said such a point never exists. Nobody has talked about it. But if we postulate that there is a beginning point, at that beginning point, just like we take the kids out for a play, some people go downhill and they want to play there. Some people choose to remain uphill and play there, right? In this way, those jivas have chosen to be with Paramatma. Some jivas have chosen to be with Prakriti. Now, with those who have chosen to be with Prakriti, this is the entire story that we are talking about. Some of them have always chosen to be with Paramatma. And jiva has free will.
Got it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Ready? Yes, please.
So when we say Acharya, we keep on mentioning about Acharya, especially in Nayagan Pasuram and other Pasuram.
Right.
Are we referring to our Samashayana Acharya, or it can be a Jnana Acharya who also shows us the path to him?
I think it is both, Swami. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Specifically, it's Ramanuja. The way I understand is ultimately it goes to Ramanuja. Because you want the perfect Acharya with perfect Jnana and perfect Anushtanam and chosen by Perumal to hand whatever blocking that you are seeking, it's Ramanuja. All other Acharyas give us the connection to
Ramanuja.
Ultimately, the working principle is Ramanuja.
In fact, that is one important thing that I forgot today, right? So, particularly in this story, we are told about the story of a certain Krishnamacharya who was present in Himachala Kshetra, right? This Krishnamacharya Swami, was someone that Lord Narasimha, he was a very good singer. Apparently, he was such a good singer that Narasimha used to come and dance when he used to sing, right? And this Krishnamacharya Swami was also very happy that he had a direct connection with Perumal. So he felt very special in that sense that, he's someone who is in the special, coterie of Perumal. One time, at a distant place, Ramanujacharya's Goshti was going on there, and Ramanujacharya came to know of this person. So Ramanujacharya, he wanted to give him mercy. So what he came and asked him was, he asked, Swami, I heard that, you have a close connection with Perumal. Perumal dances for your songs every day. Could you please ask me whether I'll get mokshama or not? In this way, Ramanujacharya asked him. He went and, that day too, he danced and, Perumal danced and everything happened. And finally he said, someone came and asked me this question whether they will get mokshama or not. And Perumal replied that he is the one who has to give moksham to everybody. Whoever he approves, then I will, give them moksham. So that is when, he understood that the position of Adiseshar, the position of Lakshmana is such that, all these just like there are gods here, right? Lakshmana and Vishwaksena, Ananta Garuda Vishwaksena, all those in Vaikuntha, they are very protective of Perumal. Like they cannot let anybody in, right? They want to make sure that Perumal is always, So this beautiful, anecdote is also experienced in this particular pasuram. So I forgot that. So thank you for.
You heard the same story in a well-protected different places.
And also with Tirukachinambi, also
It's actually not Tirukachinambi.
No,
Some people say it's Tirukachinambi.
With Tirukachinambi, they give the importance of Acharya, Ramanujacharya. Right, when Tirukachinambi asked whether he will get moksha, Perumal will say, you did the fanning for me and I came and talked to you. This deal is done. But if you really want, if you want moksha, you have to get it only from Ramanujacharya. So it means like Perumal, instead of giving him directly, he possesses that power actually
to directly
give him, and he still wants him to go through
Ramanujacharya.
Yeah, so that's the story that some people, the version exists with Tirukachinambi, but actual setting is not.
Oh.
Some another Acharya airport that same singing content. And Tirukachinambi would have asked the question just as a quick. So somebody, I've heard so much and you don't know. But somebody, this is happened with an Acharya, the exact same story, but in male God, thinking in that.
So Harini ji and Jayashree ji have added a few things here. So Dwarapalaka is referring to Swami Ramanujacharya and our respective acharyas. And Jayashree Mami has also added that Koil Kapan refers to our Upakaraka Acharya and Vail Kapan refers to Uttaraka Acharya, who's Ramanuja.
And that detail about Manikadam, the door being beautiful, referring to Kaivalyam, I know that this is the beautiful point you brought up. I used to think it's just Prakriti, right? Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhana.
Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasyapitam.
And like that, Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhana. Swavishayayascha Bhogya Buddhayarjananim. So Manikadam, I thought it's generating interest in its own.
Right.
But in this context, I think it fits even better with the
Atmasaksha.
So the Acharya, so if we don't get in touch with our own Tamashaya Acharya to teach us few things, we can is it like we can approach other jnana like since we need an Acharya Swami, can we hear from other Acharyas?
We are told, so that is the Uttaraka Acharya. Uttaraka Acharya is, and Upadesha Acharya and then Uddeshya Acharya. So,
but ultimately, the one who will take us to Perumal is our own Acharya.
Uttaraka Acharya.
Take us to Ramanuja.
Ramanuja is our own
Acharya.
But we still can take the help of Uttaraka Acharya.
Right.
Upakaraka
Acharya is the person from whom.
Uttaraka Acharya.
So I heard three things, Swami. Upakaraka Acharya is anybody from whom we hear and learn. Then Uttaraka Acharya is the person who gives us Samashrayanam, and Uddesya Acharya is Ramanuja, because this is how I have heard from my Acharya.
Upakaraka, I understand.
Uttaraka means he is the one who is giving Samashrayanam and making us eligible. So he is
Uttaraka.
Uddaraka Acharya. Uddeshya Acharya means like intending Ramanuja, this particular Acharya is giving us Samashrayanam. That means he's standing in the place of Ramanuja and doing it on behalf of Ramanuja for us.
Okay.
Protection. That Akara is indicating that he is the protector of everyone. Okay. Anybody else wants to join?
Jayashree Swami, just one basic question.
Yes.
Very basic question because I'm very new to learning the meaning of Thiruppavai.
Yes.
So Andal was born in Kali Yuga, and we know that she is doing this vratam as if she is doing as if they're all gopikas and they're gonna meet Krishna nowadays. So in this pasuram, when they are really going to Krishna's home, where are they going again? Physically, like all of these Bhagavatas, they came together. So where I'm little lost, or because I don't know is like which physical like address are they going to? Like, is it a temple which they are thinking is Krishna's home, or how or where are they going?
So Srivilliputturu, right? So here Vatapatra Sai Koil is the thing that she's imagining to be Krishna's place, right? And that is where, yes, Vatapatra Sai is a temple in Srivilliputturu. So that's what she is imagining to be Krishna's home. So this is all something that she is imagining. She is imagining herself to be in the mood of the gopis as it present at the time the gopis were in Vrindavana. She is getting into the mood of the gopis, and she is considering the local koil there, the Vatapatra Sai koil that is present in the place where she was at that time, Srivilliputturu. She was assuming that to be the Nandagopan koil, and she was trying to, think that she is trying to go to Krishna there.
Oh, thank you, Swami. So when you are saying the flag, it's maybe the Dvajastambam of the
Of
temple temple itself.
Understand? Yes.
I see. Oh,
yes.
that's a wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a very basic question, silly question.
No, nothing is
something. So it is one every day, right? But when Andal would have opened her mouth, everything would have flown like
one day,
like a river,
right?
Right. So how would she imagine the She would imagine this Pasuram was revealed every single day, or she just revealed it and we imagined it to be every day.
Yes. So when she did this on the same, like in the same, because clearly it's one morning where one after another they are visiting each home and they are collecting the gopikas and going to Krishna's house. The previous night, Krishna apparently told that he's going to give that parai, and they are trying to visit. So if we look at that sequence is everything that is happening on the same day. But based on what I have understood in my the explanations I have heard, the reason we do it over a 30-day period is because we cannot possibly understand the whole thing in one day. So we spend one time on experiencing the anubhavams in each pasuram like on a single day. We do it over a 30-day period because the vratam that we all have to do during this Dhanurmasam is we have to meditate on Perumal because Masanam Margasirshoham. Margasirsha Masa means himself. So the thing we have to do is we have to sing his kirtanas. Right? That is the goal of this month. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to take shelter of one pasuram each day and meditate on all the meanings that are told in that pasuram, so that we are doing that eventually. That is my understanding.
The way I used to imagine everything plays out in Andal's mind. Andal's mind, Srivilliputturu turns into
Vrindavan.
All the friends and herself turn into gopikas.
Right.
The whole thing plays out. So all by just taken from our time, just 1 second, everything better with that. But Andal can equally possible. She can be imagining this one Pasuram anubhavam happening through an entire day for her in that imagined world. So maybe because the reason you need to say that is the Katyayani Vratam is a 30-day event, the whole month of that.
Yes.
So just like how Gita was spoken, a lot of it in a short time, the opposite happens here. The short thing was extended over the whole day's period.
And she derived a substantial inspiration from the Katyayani Vratam because that is the context in which they go for an early morning cold water bath, and then they apparently do not know the rules of the Vratam properly. But Krishna, they all do that Vratam to attain Krishna. So that's the reason why they want to do to get Krishna as their husband. So, and then they perform that vratam, but they do not know some basic rules of that. So, things like one should not bath naked and all that. So they do that. But Krishna understands their desire that, he is for whose sake they are doing it. So he wants to fulfill it. But he also wants to make sure that they do not commit an offense from a material standpoint because it's a vratam intended for a devata. That should not have any offenses, so that vratam is complete and that there is no offense to the devata. So therefore he goes and says, he goes there and he takes away all the clothes and he says, no, you have to pray to me, right? That way you can nullify the offenses. And then they all just surrender to him and they pray, and then he gives those things and he sanctions the desire. Harini ji, if you want to add anything, please would love to hear what you have to say too.
No, actually, yeah, I posted my comment in the chat box. Yeah, Katyayini Vratam in Srimad Bhagavatam. So what happened was when Periyarvar, he found Andal in the Tulasi garden, right? So when in those days, like how we have Zoom meetings, like for the all the Upanyasams, in those days, Periyarvar used to invite people from all over India to do Upanyasams in his house. So Andal happened to hear Srimad Bhagavatam Upanyasam when she was very little, and she heard one of the Upanyasakars explaining about Katyayini Vratam and how Gopikas in Vrindavan, like they used to do this Vratam during Dhanurmasam, and why in Dhanurmasam, what is Vratam all about. So Andal happened to hear about this whole Katyayini Vratam, and after the Upanyasakas left, she was discussing with Periyarvar about uh, why was it done, by who, what is the purpose of doing the Vratam and everything. And Periyarvar explained Srimad Bhagavatam to Andal, and then she took that was a spark for Andal. And then when he asked Periyarvar about how to reach, like he at that time he started looking for grooms for Andal at that. So when that time came, Andal remembered about this Katyayini Vratam, and he told Periyarvar that she wants to marry Krishna. And Periyarvar said, no, that's kind of hard. Like, because I mean, like practically speaking, it was hard, right? But then at that time, Andal said, no, I heard about this Katyayani Vratam. So let me do Katyayani Vratam in Dhanur Masam so that I can also reach Krishna, like how Gopikas reached Krishna after doing the Vratam. It's like the same concept when, we do all the Ramayanam and Bharatam Upanyasam for, to get rain during drought period. But at the end of the Saptaham or, Navaham, rain will not come. But only one kid came with an umbrella. For that, rain came, right? That's the Vishwasam that the kid had. So Andal had that Vishwasam, like she did not think about Kaliyukam. She did not think about the practicality. She thought that Gopikas did this Katyayani Vratam, they reached Krishna. So I'm going to do this Pavi Nonba. It's because what Andal did was called as Pavi Nonbu. I'm going to do this Pavi Nonbu. And she had Atita Vishwasam that Krishna will come take her at the end of the Pavi, when Pavi Nonbu gets completed. So that is the spark that Andal got. And she completed it. And then she, as Andal thought, if not for Pavi Nonbu, it's for Andal's Vishwasam that Krishna came in the form of Ranganatha to marry her.
No, last thing. So another way to think about it is the whole thing happening on the last day when the Vratam is about to end. It ends with Krishna giving them the correct. So on the last day, she gathers all the Gopikas to go to Krishna and get it. So that could have also been the case here.
Okay. It could be that, yeah. Okay.
And also, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Also, Krishna did not come on the 31st day. Actually, like Andal, after Margari is over, the Nachiyar Tirumozhi starts with Thai. Thaiyoru Thingalam is the, so Swami Ranganatha, he did not come on the 31st day on Thai first, on the Pongal day to marry her. So remember, like the Nila Tungastanagiri, that is the explanation that you gave. So Krishna was sleeping, Andal is waking him up, right? So after the Margari is over, Krishna got up, and only Panguni Uttaram day, that's when actually the marriage like happened between Andal and Ranganatha. So it was not fulfilled like right on the 31st day. After that, like Andal sang 143 Nachiyar Tirumozhi in the Thai Madam, and then Thai Masi Panguni Uttram. Only in Panguni Uttram, like she was, considered to have joined with Swami Ranganatha.
Empowering. So it would be about empowering. At that time, I heard recently in Velugu Swami, they had a idol.
Hmm. Hmm.
Idol, and she sings to that. That's
Oh,
why, like Empavai,
okay.
Empavai, she's singing to that idol.
Okay.
So that's what Velukuri Swami was saying. And it was very interesting to us because I never knew, we never heard that much Upanyasam to at least know that too. It was very interesting. So she was singing to the idol, saying that, Velo Empavai.
I was thinking Empavai means our Vratam. That's what she is referring to. That's what I heard from one explanation. So
Katyayani Vratam. Katyayani is made into the pavi, which is like a garden.
Okay.
Therefore, Katyayani Vratam translates to Pavai known.
Okay.
And then she is singing to that Pavai, that idol. Whatever the Gopikas made, or maybe Anda also made it similar because she's doing Anukaram, right? So she might have made such idol too, and then she's constantly
worshipping that and singing to
talking to her, expressing her feelings.
Okay.
And everything to the
Okay. Oh, nice. No, thank you. I'm learning so much from all of you again. That it's such a wonderful experience. This Margali, particularly, spending with all Bhagavatas and it's a lot of Bodhayanta Parasparam. Thank you all. Sorry for keeping everybody so late. It's already 10 o'clock, I know, locally and even on the call.
Oh, thank you, Swami.
No, thank you all for joining, no matter how late it is. Very grateful to each one of you.
Jai Shri Manarayana.
Jai Shri Manarayana. Thank you.
Jai Shri Manarayana.